Hi everyone, this is Neel, Raithatha, consultant audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in my latest video using the iCLEARscope endoscope. And here we have a patient who attended with otitis externa, which is an infection of the outer ear, which consists of the pinna, so also known as the auricle, the satellite dish we have on the outside, made up of cartilage. The ear canal, also known as the external auditory meatus. And otitis externa can also involve the outermost layer of the eardrum, which is lined with the epidermal skin that lines the inner two-thirds of the ear canal. So the eardrum is ply thick, it has 3 layers. The middle layer is a fibrous connective tissue layer, and then the innermost layer is lined with the same skin that lines the middle ear, so they're made up of mucosal skin cells, similar to the skin cells we have in our nose, for example. And it happened quite suddenly, possibly triggered by wound to the patient after taking the case history alluded to. You can see it's quite swollen here. And this is a good example where an endoscope is actually really beneficial. So I wasn't able to examine this using a traditional specular. Just couldn't get the specular in, couldn't open up the ear. Because the swelling is quite, it's in the midsection of the ear. Speculars normally only enter up to the outer third of the ear canal, so the cartilage region, because if it then enters the bony part, it can be uncomfortable. So they've got all this kind of debris, dead skin, impacted against the eardrum. And I'm just zoomed in using our ClearWax app. This is a feature that we've got on the ClearWax app where you can zoom in. And it just illustrates that an endoscope is actually, once you've mastered the technique, it's actually it is the best method for really narrow ear canals. And the reason why I'm kind of just stressing that point is even now, like 10 years on, you hear some comments or some people's views, oh, you can't use an endoscope with a narrow ear. And these are people that have never really used an endoscope. But it's completely false, it's a false narrative. In fact, it's the opposite. An endoscope is better for really narrow ears than, as I said, a traditional method of looking in the ear. But you have to have the skills to use an endoscope. Now, they were getting, you can see the ear canal, because it's swollen there, it's get all the fluid in the cells of the ear canal, causing the swelling. It's attracted to the suction, so it was kind of collapsing on a couple of occasions. The patient felt it, but it wasn't uncomfortable. So that's why I just paused for a moment, just asked the patient if they were okay. They said they were fine. So this is actually on the eardrum itself. So I'm using the 17 gauge suction tip to get access, and because obviously we're working that close in the ear canal. So I just zoomed out for a moment. Of course, this patient referred him to their GP. They're going to need some medication for this. Would appear that it's bacterial. So bacterial infections in comparison to fungal infections. Fungal infections, you don't necessarily always get swelling. You don't always with bacterial infections, but more often than not you do. And it was very painful for the patient. So that's another differentiator between a fungal infection and a bacterial. Fungal infections are not always painful. They cause itchiness in the ear, whereas this was painful for the patient. And they did get some water in the ear a few days before. They were slightly concerned because it blocked up very quickly overnight. And we've always got to be aware of another pathology called an acute sensory neural hearing loss. That's where the exact cause is not known. It's because it's kind of, I think 90% of cases are idiopathic, so we don't really know the underlying cause, but it could also be caused by an autoimmune response or a viral infection. There's other causes as well. It could be an acoustic neuroma. But in the case of an idiopathic presentation of acute or sudden sensory neural hearing loss, or if it's viral or autoimmune, the patient urgently needs steroids, and these steroids could be prescribed orally or intratympanically, where it's injected through the eardrum in the hope the organ of hearing absorbs it via the round window, and or both. And so in the case of an idiopathic viral autoimmune response, it causes inflammation. There's a restriction of blood flow to the cochlea, So, and the cochlear is not receiving the blood flow that it needs. It can lead to cell death, so it can permanently damage the organ of hearing. So steroids are needed urgently, ideally within a 48-hour time window for optimal results. And even then it may not reverse it, but that's the best time window. So it reduces the inflammation and the blood is being kind of pumped back to the cochlea so it can regain its function. If anyone ever suffers from a sudden or rapid loss over the course of a few hours or a few days, don't just suspect it could be earwax or some congestion or like an infection, because sometimes it won't be. And we do see quite a lot of these cases that need urgent intervention. So that's the eardrum. I'm just going to mop up as much as I can around the edges, but the patient was over the moon. So we're not able to remove everything because of the swelling. We just want to clear the pathway. And also that will help when the patient gets their medication now, as it can penetrate deeper into the deeper realms of the ear. So I'm just mopping up here. There's a bit of dead skin. I'm pretty happy with that. It's tricky getting any more out, but you can see the whole eardrum there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well.